I want to get gems with Lukey's skill. I want a good draw from Andy's will. I want to cheat like the Machine King. I want to make sure an Aussie don't win. I want to get myself a couple of those tubs that Andy Carroll loves. And so to Bandy, and what can I say? Arguably not the greatest display.
Wait, and that is 12 hours!
No! Oh my gosh! Oh, I gotta beat Bandy.
We may be struggling, but there's reason to cheer. At least we're not as bad as Sags. We've put on a few pounds from Christmas lunch, but at least we're not as bad as Sags. Whoa, 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 whoa. We're sure not as bad as Sags. Whoa, 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 whoa. We're sure not as bad as Sags. I've watched the pundits, now I'm a convert. They're spoiling all the results for the matches of low. I want to go on the hunt for caboose and end up with a match against LBB News. The pressure's increased, but still at least we're not as bad as Sags. He's arguing he's falling out and Bandy's still bored. At least we're not as bad as Sags. Our run can't get the toasty and Bandy's still bored. At least we're not as bad as Sags. We're sure not as bad as Sags. We're sure not as bad as Sags. We're not playing well, that's been repeated. We've lost just once, hardly defeated. And everyone's angry and sure I hear, but he's not a bad player. Hester. Listen, my friends, but I don't mean to be cruel, but he's only here because of Andrew's drop ball. Écoutez mes amis, je ne veux pas être cool, mais il n'est ainsi que grâce de Bala Andy. Balls up a Bandy. I can't believe that he made it out of Group E. The AFHB Ratchet 5 and GF beat Dane, and at least we're not as bad as Sags. None of our groups were refusing to play, so at least we're not as bad as Sags. We're sure 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 not as bad as Sags.